So the main WWDC 2025 keynote has happened, the one most Apple fans are interested in, the software part. This year's presentation comes at an interesting time. Last year, Apple introduced Apple Intelligence, and let's just say the rollout didn't quite meet the hype, and it was quite disappointing. A lot of those AI features were promised, but many still haven't fully landed. And Siri, who was meant to be the central part of it all, barely mentioned at all in this keynote. So it feels like this year, Apple's trying to reset. Instead of trying to embrace and show us the AI the Apple way, they're instead refocusing on the core experience of using their devices, which, at least for me, is what they're good at and probably taken their eye off recently. This year, Apple introduced a new naming strategy. Everything is now version 26. It's clean, it's simple, and it subtly reinforces that these platforms are part of that one ecosystem. But it does make me wonder, will we see a similar approach to hardware? Like this year's iPhone, will that be the iPhone Pro 2026 instead of maybe the iPhone 17 Pro? Only time will tell. Across all of the platforms, there's a new design language called liquid glass. It focuses on depth, translucency, and fluid motion. And I have been using it on my iPhone for the past few days, and as a whole, I generally like it. It makes the OS feel fresh again, especially when you've been staring at basically the same UI for years. Now, the transparency part will actually depend a lot on your background. I've got a darker background here, so it's not too bad, but overall, I haven't found it hard to read anything, whether that's on the home screen or inside apps. That said, I'm still not sold on the clear app icons though. When some apps aren't translucent and others are, it's kind of breaking the illusion. It's going to be all or nothing for me. But I do understand we're only in the developer beta sort of phase, so hopefully by the time that this rolls out to the masses, it will all be sorted. But it certainly wasn't last year or the year before when they did that tinted version of this. Now the purpose of this video is not to be delving deeply into each OS, just pointing out features that I think have stood out for me. Now, iOS 26 brings a bunch of meaningful but measured updates to the iPhone. A redesigned camera app with better controls, a new phone app that combines calls, messages and voicemails in the timeline. Messages now have built-in polls, text effects and custom wallpapers, things that WhatsApp users will find familiar. Safari looks cleaner and wide translate is available system-wide. Now it's all a bit of like quality of life stuff, nothing dramatic, but solid updates that give people some of the things that they've been asking for. Now this is a big one if you use your iPad for work. Resizable windows, a proper menu bar, the preview app finally makes its way to iPad, and that improved multitasking with Stage Manager. And that's going to bring the iPad even closer to being a full desktop experience, especially the ones with Apple Silicon inside. Unfortunately, my iPad didn't make the cut, and it hasn't made the cut for a few years. But if you've got a newer model, then these changes are really going to start to answer that question of can an iPad fully replace a Mac? macOS 26 Tahoe isn't just another update, it feels more deliberate. That liquid glass UI brings depth across the board from menu bars to sidebars, the darkened toolbars are cleaner, and the widgets feel more modern, although I'm still on the fence about the full transparency in work apps. The biggest change, Spotlight. It can now launch emails, create notes, trigger shortcuts, and even search with filters, all from one place, way more powerful than it's ever been. The phone app also comes to the Mac, so you can take calls, check voicemails, and use features like Hold Assist directly from your Mac without even picking up your iPhone. And of course, there's some Apple Intelligence sprinkled in. Smarter shortcuts, live translations in FaceTime, and even more integration with on-device AI. It's definitely a refinement year, no question. But everything this year feels more cohesive, more productive, and more connected. So the watch also gets the liquid glass glow up too, but the standout feature for me, Workout Buddy. Apple's now using intelligence to coach you during workouts. It reads your performance history, your trends, and even suggests music based on your pace. There's even the new wrist flick gesture. You can now dismiss calls, stop timers, or go home, all by flicking your wrist. No tapping needed. And there's also that live translation in messages, a new Notes app, and smarter Smart Stack suggestions. Now, some of those features are limited to new models and only if you've paired an iPhone that supports Apple Intelligence, so not everyone will be getting the full experience. Still, it's a focused evolution, especially for fitness and accessibility. Now, this update doesn't reinvent the Vision Pro experience, but it definitely builds upon it. You now get spatial widgets that stay locked in place in your room, more lifelike personas with AI-enhanced hair and skin details that look to scroll so you can browse with just your eyes, and support for PSVR2 Sense controllers, huge for gaming. Content-wise, there's a support for immersive videos from GoPro, Insta360, Canon and more, and now shared experiences are possible, both in the same room or synced over FaceTime. So for the first time, the Vision Pro isn't just a solo experience. You can now actually use it collaboratively, whether that's in meetings or movie nights. Alright, let's talk about the unsung heroes of Apple's hardware ecosystem, the AirPods. This year's update didn't get the keynote spotlight time, but there's actually a lot here if you're into content creation or just want to sound better in calls. So with the upcoming firmware for AirPods 4, AirPods 4 with ANC, and the AirPods Pro 2, Apple is introducing studio quality audio recording. Basically, creators like podcasters, vloggers, or musicians can now record audios on the go with cleaner, more natural voice quality, even in those noisy environments. And there's also a camera remote feature where you can press and hold the stem of your AirPods to start or stop video recordings on your iPhone or iPad, which is kind of a quiet game changer if you film yourself singing, dancing, or basically doing anything hands-free. The update will also improve voice isolation in calls, whether you're on FaceTime, Zoom, messages, dictation, or anything on third-party video apps. What Apple's doing here is quietly turning the AirPods into actual creative tools, not just accessories. These updates feel like a step towards making AirPods more essential and not just convenient. So here's the picture. WWDC 2025 was thoughtful, and as we've come to expect from Apple, polished and clearly focused on improving the experience across devices, from phone on macOS to smart stack refinements on watchOS to camera control through AirPods. Everything is pulling towards a more seamless, unified feel. But it also feels like Apple is still cautiously navigating the expectations that they set last year. Apple Intelligence, their big play in 2024 for AI, was not rightfully center stage here. And that leaves some big questions unanswered about how Apple is really approaching AI in the long run. Still, as you'd expect, the software shown today, it's solid, reliable, full of refinements that will make your existing devices feel fresher and more useful without necessarily reinventing anything. It's clear Apple wants the ecosystem to feel tighter than ever. In a world where they feel for every move they make to enhance the ecosystem, there's going to be a challenge from the courts to break those garden walls down. But within that garden, the line between your Mac, your iPhone, your Vision Pro, even your AirPods is becoming even more blurred. The experience is being stitched together in smarter, more thoughtful ways. And sure, not everything is going to be groundbreaking, but the tone felt more grounded. Like Apple saying, look, we heard you last year. This now is we're just getting on with it. Even Craig's cinematic joyride through Apple Park had a kind of we're back on track energy to it. This was a year about refinement, not reinvention, and maybe that's exactly what the ecosystem needs to keep growing. What do you think of all the changes mentioned at WWDC this year? Which feature caught your attention? Do you think this was a bounce back for Apple or just a placeholder until the next big thing drops? Just let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, press the like button and subscribe to the channel for more videos just like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.